Trixie was practically hyperventilating.
Alright, well let's see, we've got a stage.
She said, looking at the one Miss Cheerley and the school had loaned her for the show.
We've got actors. Oh, who's playing Megan?
A local unicorn, Lyra Heartstrings.
Reported Twilight. Spike on her back, going over the checklist.
She likes to walk like a human anyway.
She said, finding the green mare's interest in mythological species rather strange, but understood how interesting such things could be.
Okay, T-Rex.
That's a surprise.
The Twilight, giving a rather sly smirk. I bet it's gonna be Twilight.
Alright.
Said Trixie, trusting her, but wondering just what her friends had managed, considering how well connected they were.
Backdrops.
Finished!
Chimed in Rarity, concentrating and using a spell to create a rather impressive backdrop of a beautiful valley. Trixie's jaw dropped.
It's amazing.
Rarity smiled proudly.
Thank you, darling. I picked up the skill for use in fashion shows. It's come in handy before.
Twilight gave a nod.
She used it for a fashion show we put on for Hoity Toity. And it has the advantage of being useful for changing scenes faster.
Rarity explained, flipping the backdrop off and on twice to demonstrate. Trixie nodded appreciatively.
Trixie is grateful. Background music.
All set.
Yelled Pinkie Pie over at a turntable. She steadily pulled DJ Pone 3 out of nowhere, who waved her hoof to signal she was ready. Trixie's jaw dropped.
You got... How?
She's my cousin's roommate.
Pinkie cheerfully added, her and the DJ putting on their headphones. Trixie shook off her surprise and turned to look at the Gettins. The growing crowd was under a tarp.
Why did they have to schedule a storm today? Hey, the Pegasi didn't schedule this storm. That tropical storm they made to wash away the damage from Discord is starting to give us rain.
Said Rainbow Dash.
That has actually got a few advantages.
She said, flying up and kicking a hole in the clouds to let the moonlight through a natural spotlight on the stage. Moving around clouds, let it be controlled.
Thank you, Rainbow Dash.
Said Trixie, appreciative, as the Pegasus handed off responsibility to that for that to Derpy. Trixie blinked, hearing a noise, looking up to see Applejack messing with the pulleys.
Applejack, what are you doing?
Just towing these pulleys.
Applejack replied, testing them slightly. They now made almost no sound at all.
Oh, there we go.
Trixie gave a sigh as she came down.
Trixie can't thank you all enough for all you're doing.
She seemed a little conflicted as well. Rainbow Dash put a hoof on her back.
What are friends for?
Trixie returned the Pegasus smile.
True. So, where are costumes?
Rainbow asked, looking around.
I'm sure I'll make a great Firefly, but I don't look anything like her. I'm not dyeing my fur pink. No need.
Said Trixie.
Twilight, did you look up that spell I told you about?
Twilight nodded, showing her the book.
You never learned it. It's stage magic after all.
Trixie never wanted to disguise herself before.
The mayor replied.
But she knew a cult that learned it at a theater near her home.
She continued. After reading it, she nodded to Twilight.
Let's try it.
Trixie concentrated on Twilight, while Twilight concentrated on Rainbow Dash. Rainbow Dash's fur turned pink, while her mane and tail turned blue, and Twilight's fur, mane, and tail changed to match her mother's.
It works.
Rainbow looked herself over.
What is this? It's a disguise spell used in theater. It creates a thin magical costume around whoever uses it, whoever it's used on. It doesn't change body shape or physical features that much, so it won't fool someone for a long, close up. But on stage, you're far enough that it won't matter.
Trixie explained.
And it's rather fragile, so don't go crashing into too many things or the spell will be broken.
Twilight then applied a sticker matching her characters over her cutie mark, giving one to Rainbow Dash as well, hers being 2 blue lightning bolts.
I think that's Twilight.
Yeah. And celebrities use these to disguise themselves all the time.
This is awesome!
Said Rainbow, though a little annoyed. She was pink, she had to admit it was cool. Twilight simply handed Applejack a sticker of 6 apples for a cutie mark and changed her mane style, putting a blue bow on her tail.
Your character looks like you anyway. Yeah.
Said Applejack, putting the sticker and taking her hat off, gently putting it in a safe place. She looked herself over and appeared somewhat sad. Oh, poor Applejack.
Speaking of costume changes, before we give the other actors their costumes,
Said Rarity with a smile, taking out a gift-wrapped box.
our Master of Ceremonies needs hers.
Trixie's eyes went wide.
For Trixie?
She asked, slowly taking it and opening to find a new hat and cape, perfectly folded. They resembled her old ones, but the color was now a deep blue, the stars golden, and golden trim at the edge. The interior was still purple, however, sorry.
It's beautiful, Rarity. Trixie, I didn't...
Don't say anything, dear. It's a gift.
Rarity replied, giving a smile.
And one last touch.
Said Twilight, folding Trixie's gem up and putting it in with the rest of the costume.
Your grandmother said it was a good luck charm, right?
Trixie gave a small smile and nodded, tears in her eyes for the 3rd time today.
Thank you.
Group hug!
Yelled Pinkie Pie, one falling instantly.
Now, go get dressed and put the costumes on the others. We've got a show to do.
Twilight said, smiling. Trixie nodded and headed off to do just that. Rainbow looked to Rarity, Fluttershy, and Twilight as well as the CMC as they snuck up.
Everything ready?
She whispered, seriously. Twilight nodded.
Ready. My animals are in position.
Fluttershy whispered, giving a serious look. Her friend needed her, and every pony knew what that brought out in timid Pegasus. She pointed up, showing some birds in the rafters saluting.
None shall pass.
Rarity added in an overly dramatic whisper.
Without a backstage pass.
We set the booby traps.
CMC added, smirking together.
Alright, and let's keep Trixie in the dark if we can. The last thing she needs right now is this stressing her out more than she is.
Said Twilight, getting nods.
Go.
Said Rainbow, smirking.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cutie
Marco.
Marco.
The 3 were shushed, and then all 3 blushed.
Cutie Mark
Crusader
Crusaders.
bodyguards. Yay.
So the three in a hushed voice, the group high-hoofing. Checker stood in the crowd with her cloak on, watching events unfold with an umbrella at her side.
Oh, Trixie, won't you ever learn?
She asked, smirking, as she hid the rotten tomatoes she'd brought. A small fireworks explosion went off on stage, Trixie appearing in her new outfit. Checker's eyes widened for a second, then she saw the gem around her sister's neck.
That gem Helena decided I didn't deserve. She thought I thought she'd lost it.
She growled, thinly veiled jealousy in her tone.
Hello, Ponyville. Trixie asks, are you ready to hear a story?
She announced in a fittingly hammery fashion. She heard some booing come from someone in the audience, but did her best to ignore it.
And Trixie knows it shall surprise many of you, but the story is not about Trixie at all.
Trixie announced right over the boos.
What?
Asked Checker, blinking in surprise, with that Trixie not giving any heed at all to the booing, and at Trixie's cheerful announcement that the performance had nothing to do about her.
Nor is Trixie going to challenge ponies on stage and publicly humiliate them. She no longer does that.
The showmare explained.
And apologizes for ever doing so. Get off the stage.
Checker yelled, using the high-pitched voice she used before to hide herself. Several joined her. Trixie just ignored the insults, even if it hurt to hear.
Instead, Trixie shall dazzle you with an amazing tale of adventure.
She shouted, fireworks going off. Checker growled and launched a rotten tomato at her sister, only to her surprise to find it caught telekinetically in midair by the mare. Checker cringed, expecting to be launched right back at her, but Trixie merely set it down where it wouldn't be in the way, as if nothing had happened. The insidious mare could only watch dumbfounded.
She doesn't care. It's not possible. I broke her. She was a complete wreck. How can she not care?
Checker muttered, fury raising in her eyes.
Rising. And do remember, all proceeds go to the victims of Ursa Minor attacks.
Trixie announced, then became solemn.
Before we begin, Trixie would like to say what she wanted to yesterday.
Checker snorted hot air out of her nose.
No,
She whispered, picking at more tomatoes.
I can't let you.
She growled. Checker threw all the tomatoes at her sister that her telekinesis could manage. Twilight, who was waiting behind the curtain, saw the incoming tomatoes and concentrated, a pink energy field forming in front of Trixie, blocking them. Trixie looked over and gave a kind smile in Twilight's direction before turning back to the audience, taking off her hat and holding it to her chest.
Trixie is honestly and sincerely sorry. She lied, and because she lied, a disaster befell your town. Trixie knows apologizing doesn't make things right, but I apologize. I'm sorry, and I hope someday you'll be able to forgive me.
This got gas of surprise from the crowd and lack of guilt from some, and absolute fury from one mare. Checker snarled, stomping off. Trixie put the hat back on as Twilight lowered the barrier.
Now, Trixie is proud to present for your viewing pleasure, Rescue from Midnight Castle.
She announced, causing several fireworks to go off. She walked over to the side of the stage out of the way of the performance, then looked over to the stage proper using her magic to present an image of a valley with a rainbow over it.
Long ago, before the princesses ruled, before Discord, before Equestria was even founded, it was known as Dream Valley. In this beautiful, magical place, ponies frolicked and played together. It was a time of peace.
The curtain opened silently, Jack's wailing, to reveal Rarity's carefully created illusionary backdrops as Trixie faded perfectly into it. Firefly and another Pegasus, simply a background actor, riding a rainbow down into a pond. Everybody has a story within a story. Checker took her hood off, her mane messed up even more now, as she walked up to the Diamond Dogs, holding umbrella over her.
Get backstage.
What?
Get backstage.
Rover, confused.
Get backstage and do something to ruin that play.
Stated the mare, her normal icy tone slipping and showing a hint of anger.
What pony want us?
Anything.
Yelled the mare suddenly, sending the Diamond Dogs running off full speed to follow her orders. Helping Hoof was shocked to see Checker losing her cool. He'd never imagined she'd see something like this out of her. Even after her outburst earlier, he looked aside and thought, not caring he was soaked, until he noticed something on his flank and gasped. He slowly snuck off.
All in all, and all was good in Dream Valley.
Trixie announced after several minutes of nothing more than ponies frolicking to show what Dream Valley was like.
That is, until an evil set his sights upon this wonderful place.
She said, taking out some green dust and throwing it into the air, where it took the shape of a flock of roaring dragon-like monsters, getting screams from the crowd.
The evil centaur T-Rex sent his monsters called Stratodons to kidnap the ponies for his nefarious purposes.
Trixie announced in the most ominous fashion she could manage, as Derby covered the natural spotlight and the lights were dimmed by the Cutie Marcus Satyr tech crew to add to the scene. The Diamond Dogs came back to Checker, who was simply sitting under the umbrella waiting.
Well,
Whining pony guarding back door.
Spot said, clearly afraid of Rarity. Checker sighed, taking out 3 sets of earplugs.
here, these will protect you from the mean pony. Now go.
She ordered, practically shoving them in their ears before sending them running off again. Birdie was standing where she could see the stage. I don't care, laptop. Rarity was standing where she could see the stage and change illusions if prompted, but also see the back entrance to the stage. As she peeked back at the stage, she heard footsteps and looked to see Rover standing not far away from her, flanked by his pack mates.
You? You're the ones trying to ruin Trixie? If pony no make pictures, show no work.
Said Rover, smirking.
We stop pony from making pictures.
Rarity chuckled.
I know exactly how to handle you 3.
She said, smirking.
Oh, what will we do? You're going to ruin the show and make Trixie a laughingstock. You're so mean.
Whined Rarity in the most annoying, high-pitched fashion she possibly could.
That no work this time, pony.
Stated Fido, grabbing her by the hoof.
Pony, come with us.
Fido's eyes widened in response to the glare the mayor shot him. Yelled Rarity. Fido suddenly found himself flipped by the arm and sent crashing to a row of boxes. The other two just stared at the mayor as she flipped her hair.
Unfortunately for you three, I'm no one-trick pony.
Go Rarity. She said, then glared and took a martial arts type pose.
Now, get out of here before I make you get out, and never bother Trixie again. Gertie, no take all three of us.
Said Rover as Fido got it back up.
Girly? I'm not girly, I'm ladylike.
Rarity announced in anger.
It is on.
Martial arts yells and the sound of crashing and hits rang out, thankfully during a fight scene with T-Rex Stratodons. The Diamond Dogs were sent yelping out at the back of the theater, Rarity falling after them a second later.
And don't you dare bother Trixie ever again.
She yelled, shaking a hoof. She turned her nose up in a snooty manner and slammed the door as she returned to her post.
You got beaten down by a fashionista.
Yelled Checker in disbelief, tearing the earplugs out of the Diamond Dog's ears.
But she's tough.
Replied Rover, putting a bag of ice over his black eye. Checker snarled, looking at her chessboard.
Fine, then go under the stage and pull the actors down. Or destroy the stage supports or something, anything, you fools.
She yelled, sending them running off. She looked around.
Where is that worthless helping hoof anyway?
Rainbow Dash looked out as T-Rex fired off his rainbow of darkness. Actually, just some black and gray streamers manipulated via telekinesis to transform captured ponies into dragons, which was accomplished by Trixie letting off explosions to cover them, switching out and throwing her dust to make dragon-like creatures appear. Rainbow Dash then turned to Sweetie Belle, Scootaloo, Applebloom was on stage, and Fluttershy.
Okay, did you and Fluttershy set up something under the stage?
Yep.
Exclaimed Scootaloo. Fluttershy nodded as well. Said Rainbow Dash, giving a smirk.
If those Diamond Dogs try to stop the show from under the stage, they're in for a big surprise.
Yeah, we put flamethrowers down there. I guess you already said Ugg.
Oh.
Grown Checker, covering her nose and coughing as the tree sap and feather-covered Diamond Dogs returned, having apparently also been sprayed by a skunk.
What? How? How did you even manage for this to happen to you?
She yelled, an unhinged look in her eyes, as her mane and tail were nearly completely disordered.
They had booby traps.
Said Spot, stepping forward to reveal mousetraps on his hind paws. Spot had two on his ears, and Rover was practically covered in them. Checker snarled in rage, barely any of her normal composed persona remaining.
I am surrounded by idiots. Helping Hoof.
She yelled, looking for him.
Helping Hoof, come here right now.
She screamed, then realized he wasn't there. She looked back to the stage, snarling fiercely.
Oh, this is my favorite part!
Exclaimed Pinkie Pie, sitting next to GJ Pone 3 backstage. As they managed the background music, she took a deep breath and lipped. Oh, sorry, T-Rex next line. That's quotations threw me off.
No.
Yelled T-Rex as the rainbow of light. Once more, a group of ribbons, carefully manipulated via telekinesis, surrounded him and his chariot. He roared in fury as he was hidden from sight. Trixie waited, rather curious as to where the chariot had come from, but once she saw the glow of the actor teleporting away, she set off the biggest multicolored fireworks display she possibly could to signal T-Rex demise. Checker was suddenly calm and collected again as the crowd applauded the display, but hate was plain as day in her still, somewhat unhinged eyes.
Enjoy your victory now, Trixie.
She said coldly and meticulously.
Because tonight I tear you to shreds.
She said, stomping off. The Diamond Dogs looked at each other in surprise, then did their best to follow her, considering the mousetraps.
And with T-Rex defeated and his victims restored, peace returned to Ponyland, and all was as it should be.
Trixie announced.
Oh, hold on. Thanks to the brave Megan and her friends.
Applause rang out. Not boos. Okay, a few. Not yells of hate, but applause. Trixie could only watch in amazement as her friends came forward to take a bow. Twilight urged her to do the same, and she did. She didn't watch T-Rex step forward and bow before he lit up, white, and slowly changed into a form Trixie did not see coming.
Princess Luna?
Oh, I did not see that coming either. Asked Trixie, completely dumbfounded as her jaw dropped almost to the ground before remembering to bow.
What are you doing here?
Luna smiled.
Twilight Sparkle invited my sister and I to the play. Celestia sadly could not make it, but I have always enjoyed theater and offered to play T-Rex. It hath been centuries since I have played a part in a play, and I must say that was quite fun.
She stated in a manner not unlike Twilight describing anything science and or book related.
Thou must be Trixie. I have seen your last letter to my sister.
Pip ran up to Luna, who seemed very happy to see him. Luna's a him now, everybody. You all go home. Very happy to see her.
No, I think Luna was happy to see Pip.
Okay, it's just how the sentence was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trixie needs to lay down now.
Muttered Trixie, doing an overly dramatic feint. Rarity provided a couch for her to land on.
Dear Princess Celestia, tonight I learned a valuable lesson. Alone, it's easy to give up on yourself. When things look down and no pony is there to support you, you'll crumble under what life puts on top of you. But when you have friends, they're holding it up right there with you. Trixie Lulumoon Midsummer. Your middle name is Lulumoon?
Asked Spike, blinking.
Yes.
Said Trixie, nodding.
Trixie's gone by Lulumoon, or Trixie Lulumoon is a stage name, but it is her middle name.
Trixie didn't look conflicted.
Twilight, Trixie had a wonderful time at the play. It made her so happy to be able to make the crowd applause and to give back to those she hurt before, but...
Yes, Trixie?
Asked Twilight, looking up at her.
Nothing.
Said Trixie, then smiled.
And we even earned enough money for all those ponies the Ursa hurt. You are all excellent.
She said.
You are born actors.
Thanks.
Twilight replied, smiling.
We played in the Canterlot Heartswarming Eve pageant.
She exclaimed.
Glad we could play in the show.
Trixie frowned a little, but nodded.
Yes, Trixie is glad you were there.
She said, looking even more conflicted. She then yawned.
Well, Trixie has a job at Sugar Cube Quarter tomorrow, so we'd best get some sleep.
Twilight nodded, noticing the conflicted look, but deciding that should be a bridge to be crossed when it came to it.
All right. Good night, Trixie.
Good night, Twilight. Good night, Spike.
Checker approached the library, ruined of mane hanging in front of her face, her hoofsteps methodically as she continued on. Oh, the diamond dogs, having washed off, followed her cautiously, holding her umbrella over her. Checker's eyes looked up at the window, and she cast a spell.